Hi everyone, this is Daymi Pelaez, and I am going to go over assessment section I. This is ABA Exam Academy. I'm gonna first go over the disclaimer. The ABA Exam Academy was created by and for students to earn their BCBA, BCABA certification. Most of the leaders and participants are not a BCBA or BCABA at this time. These meetings are meant to have active discussions to collaborate, ask questions, and provide helpful suggestions to better understand the BACB 4th edition task list concepts. Due to this, it is important to know that all viewers and participants are responsible to verify the accuracy of the information being provided in order to successfully prepare for the BCBA, BCABA exam. Ethical considerations we have are we need to refrain from sharing any BCBA test questions during the meeting, refrain from sharing any kind of paid resources or any kind of client identifiable information. And if we are sharing any open resources, peer-reviewed articles or books, please make sure to give credit to the author. As students in the field of ABA, we need to act in a professional and ethical manner at all times. So because of this, we made some rules for the group. Number one is make sure to mute your microphones if you're not speaking to allow to have clear conversations. Number two is to allow the leaders and all participants in turn to speak without interruptions. Number three, make sure to be respectful to others and refrain from using any inappropriate language. And number four, always have fun. So because of this, I wanted to start off with telling everyone that I am extremely proud of my field. ABA is my life, professionally, personally, all around. It's changed me, my family, it's changed everything about me. So I wanted to say that I agree with this video, and I thought it was important to take the first 5 minutes to listen to what Brett Denovi has to say about ABA. He does state on here that ABA is the greatest science in the world. So if you guys, I'm gonna put up my volume and I'm gonna start with this video that I loved. So let's go up here. Let me know if you guys hear it okay.
Greatest science in the world, because what other science can help every other science? If the behavioral technology could be embraced by so many other disciplines, in addition to education and autism, if it could just be embraced in so many other areas throughout the world, you could see so many people flourish through like airless learning, where people are just given a chance and they're given small steps and they're reinforced for these approximations instead of, like you said, kind of throwing someone into the wolves and expecting they're going to perform. Man, I suppose, we're probably a little biased. I think you agree with me on this. Applied behavior analysis, science of behavior is the greatest science in the world, because what other science can help every other science? And you cannot say that for anything else. We can help all the scientists perform better, and that's going to produce better outcomes for them. So, really, I just wish, and I think that we're starting to do a better job disseminating. People like you have come into the field, and you're making it palatable to people. Guys like Aubrey Daniels, man, I love. That's what turned me on to OBM. I believe OBM makes it palatable to people. But really, it should be in everything. It should be in higher education. It should be in elementary school. Yeah. People should just understand. They don't have to all be behavior analysts. But understanding some basic principles. Parenting would be better. Children would, yeah, man. There's some simple things, but we're starting to do better with it.
I think it's going in that direction. And so you're doing a functional analysis, and you want the individual first has to sample the tangible stimuli. So you're doing an analog assessment that's experimental. They have to first sample the tangible stimuli to see that, to get a taste of it, and then remove it. So there's that establishing operation, or else that tangible stimuli didn't really have value. So if you think about it from a behavior analysis, doesn't do such a great job of meeting people where they are so they can sample it in a palatable way. So I know it's my goal, and one of your goals is to just take the complex behavior analytic principles, make them relatable, and meet people where they are. So whatever it is
that they're fascinated by. If you can take the science and give it in a usable bit that people understand to get them interested in it, then you can kind of start maneuvering them into the more nuanced areas of behavior science. It's kind of why we try to create this wide net, where behavior analysis, at first, it's not necessarily applying to a discussion. It's just extrapolation, discussion, and I'm talking about things from my personal experience, and I'm saying, top 10 ways you can tell, someone is envious of you, and it's not really rooted in behavior analysis, but it grabs their attention.
Sure.
And then there might be just one out of those 10 things that are behavior analytic in nature, and I'll clearly say it's not, but then what's cool is someone might be interested in that because that got their attention, and then they can funnel down into, the hacking clinical channel, where we're all geeking out over the scientific principles, or maybe they can go into OBN, or they can go into fighting science like your stuff. And I think we really have to do a better job as scientists to meet people where they are, see what captures their interest, and then lead them to the area that's their niche.
Yeah, I mean, you're not, what I hear you saying is, and I agree with that 100%, not forcing people into it, you're reinforcing them into it, and you're getting that little hook. And that's that little reinforcement in there. And, but let me learn a little bit more in that. And, you're doing it through all these other things, but they're being drawn into the discussion. You're like, hey, there's this, by the way, that's rooted in science. Oh, shit, that's cool. You find out a little bit more about that.
Yep.
And that's what we need to do more with, So, embracing both sides. Obviously, we need academics to really inform us, but we also need the disseminators, so we can pull other people in and we can really help a lot of people with science.
Once it's understood, embraced, and I just remember at West Virginia University, Dr. Ernest Vargas and Julie Vargas, I remember, I think one of them actually used the term that we were like the black sheep of the psych world when it came to behavior analysis. And I remember, I'm like, why? And then I started realizing how we spoke about it with all of our jargon, how it was a very closed-knit community with only us understanding the language and speaking in those terms to each other, and not necessarily branching out to embrace other disciplines, being closed-minded. And, I just think that I see the science evolving into other areas, but it's definitely important to figure out what people care about in order to educate them. You need to get their attention and then see what area is interesting to them, because it's sort of like assuming that pizza is a reinforcer for everyone. A behavior analyst, knows that pizza just because I love it and a lot of people do, doesn't mean it's reinforcement for that learner. It's just sort of like, why would we think that our fancy language and our rigid way of doing things is going to be reinforcing to the cognitive psychologist or the counseling psychologist or a sports psychologist? We have to meet them where they are.
We're the Slowski.
All right, we're back. So I wanted to start out with that just because I feel that ABA is known for autism, and I feel that every time that I have worked anywhere that I just mentioned that I work in the field of applied behavior analysis, I feel that everyone sees it, oh, you work with kids with autism, but ABA is everything. I feel that, like I said, it changed my life. It's changed everything about my family, professionally, personally, everything. And like he said that everybody loves pizza, not everybody loves pizza. So, it's the same for ABA. We need to use those behavior analytic principles to change everything about our lives to make us better. So I don't know if any of you agree with that or if anybody wants to share anything about it. But I thought this was a good starting point for our meeting. Is everybody still here?
Yeah, I agree with that because I was just thinking that today that anytime I refer to it always says, oh, know, children on the spectrum, want to work with children with all disabilities, just not autism. So I totally agree. I understand. And you know, ABA can be used with, you know, neurotypical people just as much as somebody, you know, with a disability.
Right. Yes. Martin, you were saying something? Okay, so do you guys want to move on? We can start. I found this visual, and I guided my meeting using this visual. So I broke it up in 3 parts. So I did indirect observation, direct observation, and then within direct observation, I broke it up in 2 different sections, which is descriptive assessment and functional experimental analysis, which is functional analysis. So this is just a quick image. I'm sure you guys can glance at it really quick, try to memorize as much as you can, but then I'm gonna move on to some questions. All right, so indirect FBA. What is an indirect assessment, indirect FBA? Anybody wanna give the answer to that? Or anybody wanna explain it in your own words?
An indirect FBA, isn't that like the interviews and the questionnaires that we give the the family or the school system?
Okay, so those are some tools that we use for the indirect FBA. But what, right, so you made a keyword there. You said for the family. So it's basically an assessment that's used for others that are close to a client. So the definition I have here are any kind of information we gather from others who know the client well, that's seeking services. So obviously a person that has some kind of problem behavior. And then the tools that we use. So what methods are used during the part? That's what you were saying, Jacqueline. Those are rating scales, checklists, structured interviews, and those are considered a lot of us use the MAST, the FAST, the QABF, and some other assessments. Some people like to use the VB map to figure out verbal abilities, the ABLES-R, things to that nature that can help us find a hypothesis. Any advantages that you guys can think of for an indirect FBA? I know that we tend to go off direct observations more so, but there are a couple advantages for indirect. Does anybody know? All right, so the advantages I have for an indirect FBA are they're simple to use. Did somebody say something? Okay. It's simple to use, and since the observation is not required, and it contributes to hypothesis development of problem behavior. So it helps gather enough information so that we can hypothesize, you know, why the problem behavior is occurring. All right, we're gonna move on to functional analysis, which is functional experimental analysis as well. Anybody want to throw out the 4 functions of behavior?
Tangible, automatic, oh God.
Escape.
Okay.
Attention.
Escape, attention, automatic.
Tangible.
Okay, good. All right, so sensory, which is automatic. I have the other word here, AKA. Escape, attention, tangible. And then what's the other word for tangible?
No idea.
Access. So if someone tells you access, it's basically tangible. All right, so with that, those are the 4 functions, but then we have the 3 test conditions and 1 control condition. Anybody know those?
I know play.
Okay, play condition. Three more. Okay, someone on here wrote play. Okay. Does anybody else know them? Or do I just give them to you? All right, let's move on. All right, it's the contingent attention, contingent escape, alone, and control. And then some AKAs are for contingent attention is social disapproval condition. And then we have for contingent escape, the AKA is academic demand condition. And then for control, it's the play condition. Okay. Does anybody need those repeated? They're contingent attention, AKA is social disapproval condition. Contingent escape is academic demand condition. Alone, and then control is AKA play condition. Does anybody have questions about those? All right, we're gonna move on to a question. What does the attention condition and the escape condition test for? I wanna hear someone besides Jacqueline. Ashley, Martin, are you here? Okay, someone on Erica wrote, if the function is attention maintained or escape maintained. Yes, so what does it test for? All right. Jacqueline, do you know?
Actually, I can't remember.
Okay. All right, so for attention, it always tests for positive reinforcement. And then escape, the condition, it tests for negative reinforcement. So that's really important to know. When we manipulate the variables, that's what we're testing for. And this comes up on a lot of mock questions. So you gotta make sure you learn this.
So I'm sorry. Say it again.
So if it's testing for the if it's for the attention condition, it's testing for positive reinforcement. If it's for the escape condition, it's testing for negative reinforcement.
Okay. Thanks.
Yep, no problem. Does anybody know the fifth condition? I just found this out today for the first time. I didn't know there was a fifth condition. Does anyone know?
I would say tangible, but I think that's wrong.
No, you're right. It's the tangible condition. Good job. It's Ashley?
Yep.
Good job. All right. What is the only FBA method that confirms the hypothesis?
FA.
Yes, ma'am. I wanted to make sure that this is really big because this is really important. I don't know how many times I've heard people saying that a direct observation determines the hypothesis, determines the function. No, this is the only FBA method that confirms the hypothesis. A direct observation could give you a hypothesis. An indirect observation, an assessment can give you a hypothesis. But the only one that can confirm it is the functional analysis. And I have another question that I didn't write on here. Can you confirm a function just by doing a FAST or a MAS or using any of those tools for functional analysis? Yes or no?
No.
No. You can't. You have to actually, after you do that, which is part of an indirect assessment, you have to then manipulate the variables and confirm it. So you have to use both. Does anybody have any questions about that? All right. All right, there's two types of functional analysis. And then red here, I have an AKA for functional analysis. Does anybody know an AKA for functional analysis?
Experimental analysis.
Good job. All right, so there's two types of functional analysis: extended functional analysis and brief functional analysis. Anyone know the difference between both?
Brief is used for like high risk behaviors. It's short because they control the conditions so that the behavior doesn't escalate too much.
Okay. And the extended is just more thorough, right?
Yep.
Okay. Good job. All right, so for extended, this is the typical one we use. It manipulates the variables conditions that are presented one at a time and in alternating sequence until a pattern emerges. And then the way we find out is we visually inspect graph results to see conditions with high rates. All right, and then basically the brief is the same, it's just faster, something more simple by using the same, but we conduct a functional analysis in a short period of time. In this one, it says each condition is run for about 10 minutes. And then an MO and SD that signals reinforcement is available except for the alone condition. All right. Another question I have is, if there is an undifferentiated pattern, which is also known as a spider web graph, what does that mean?
It could be automatic or it's undetermined.
Good job. Nice job, Ashley. You're ready for the test.
You just want it over with.
All right, what should be done if this occurs? What should we do? Should we start over? Or no? If we get inconclusive or automatic reinforcement as a result to undifferentiated patterns, is the best thing to do start over again? Should we collect baseline data from the beginning, or is that not the best idea?
I would say no, because it would give you probably the same results.
Okay, so do you have any ideas on what we should do?
Nope.
It's very simple. Just collect more data. That's it. So I actually had a mock question that was like that. One of the choices was start over. And then another one of the choices was collect baseline data for, I think it was 3 to 5 more sessions or something like that. So the better choice is just to continue to gather data until you find some type of pattern. And they suggest an extra 3 to 5 sessions or days or whatever it is that we're targeting. All right. All right, here I have some images of what direct observation methods look like. On the left, I have a typical scatter plot. In the middle, I have this is the ABC narrative, which has the antecedent behavior consequence, and then us writing in exactly what's going on with environmental, information or triggers or anything like that. And then here on the right-hand side, we have the ABC continuous with the check boxes, a more simplified version, just checking off exactly what you're seeing. Has anybody used any of these before in the past?
Yeah, we use the continuous at work.
The continuous, the check boxes?
Mm-hmm.
I use a lot of ABC data. Well, I used to use a lot of ABC data.
But which kind? Narrative?
The narrative.
Okay. All right, cool. I've heard that a lot. A lot of people don't use the scatter plot. I've never used it. I've used both of these, but I've never used a scatter plot.
No, me either.
I've never used a scatter plot either. I was told that it's mostly used in school, but I've never seen it used in a school setting either.
Right, same. All right, so with these, I found some advantages for all 3 of them. Does anybody have any kinds of advantages they want to share?
Continuous is more time consuming because you have to do every behavior.
Okay. That's actually pretty close to what I said. Okay, so precise measures, calculates conditional probabilities, and then provides correlations with environmental and useful contextual information. So yeah, it takes a lot more time. We have to continuously record data.
Guess that would be a disadvantage, actually.
Well, I mean, it's more precise, so
yeah,
it's an advantage, but a disadvantage is that it takes a long time. But it's more accurate, so it really depends on the situation. And then with ABC narrative, it's less time consuming than continuous, so it just gives us the behavior as it's happening. We record what we see, and then that's it. And then with the scatter plot, this one just identifies the time periods of behavior, and then it's useful for finding the best time to collect ABC data. So basically, we're going to use a scatter plot to figure out when it's best to use either continuous or narrative. All right. So the last question I have for this part is, what is the minimum recording time for reliable ABC data?
Is it 30 to 50 seconds?
No.
No, I'm wrong.
I was thinking 3 days.
3 days?
Hmm.
No. It's so it's a minimum of 20 to 30 minutes. So I've had mock questions where they say, I'm gonna put my name out there. I'm gonna say Daymi is a BCBA. She recorded ABC data for 10 minutes and then she went to the restroom and came back and recorded an extra 10 minutes. Would that be reliable ABC data?
No, because you left.
Right.
Needs to be consecutive.
It needs to be consistent, continuous, and it needs to be a minimum 20 to 30. So if I say she collected 20 minutes, then she went to the restroom and collected an extra 20, that's fine. Or if she collected 20 and she left for the day, that's okay. But I can't do 10 and then take a 10-minute break and then come back and do an extra 10. That's not reliable. So it needs to be continuous for at least 20 minutes, but 30 is even better. So 20 to 30. So if I did 25, that's perfect. If I did 30, that's even better. So if we don't do a minimum of 20 minutes, we should start over again. Completely disregard it and start over again. All right, so I have a Cooper quiz that I want to do with you guys, but my meeting time is ending in 6 minutes, so I'm going to close this down and start a new one. Okay?